Notification volume 0%.
Good evening, and welcome to Blindformers Episode 7, Crosshairs, aka a brother of the Ironhide mold. Now, this is we've discussed this in the past with my previous episodes, but this time I have for you a figure to transform that is not the holder of the mold, mainly because I couldn't find an Ironhide mold for Seige. But I did find Crosshairs, who is a mold brother. So his transformation and Ironhide's transformation, or Ratchet's transformation, will all be the same. They'll just be different molds. I'm going to discuss this again whenever I come out, work with the Seekers for Seige. But that being said, let's get to it. As you see here, I have Crosshairs, our little, according to the movies, Australian robot that likes sniping things. He is currently dual-wielding, or double-handing, his crazy war axe. I discovered that the way it's made, you can actually double-hand it. That was cool. I was like, God, two-handing weapon, that's neat. They had to do it really weird, so they put a port at the very bottom of the melee weapon, and then a port almost at the head of the melee weapon that are set horizontal to the weapon, or parallel to the weapon, so that little fists, you can plug them into the fists. They're 5mm ports. I thought that was pretty neat. I haven't come across many weapons that actually do the two-handing well enough to pose. So if you want to pose him like holding an axe about to wield it, yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, the guy's a sniper. I don't know why he would have an axe, but that's pretty neat. Now, I'm going to go ahead and remove the axe from him so he can lower his hands and we can get some proper measurements down, right? Yep, before we measure, we'll discuss the axe, because the axe also has a neat little feature. When you get it in the packaging, it will be a gun or a rocket launcher. It depends on the way you point it. I like to face the front bit out sometimes, and it has a couple of rockets that are textured in there, so you can have rockets. Or you can turn it around, and that little bit that goes up right into the where the fist can hold for that 5mm port right there, or peg. There's I like to think that's a railgun end, so I put it on the other side to be a railgun. Yeah, it's your toy, but that's what I do with it. Now, let's discuss his height. Honestly speaking, I don't know much about Crosshairs, like story-wise, because he showed up in the movies. That was the only info I could get on him. Right now, let's see. There's that peg, and 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, so double check this. He is 20 studs tall. Isn't that neat? 20 studs tall little guy. So compare him with our Bumblebee here. Why do you have Nemesis sword? Well, set him up here so you can see. Bumblebee is just 13. No, yeah. Bumblebee is 14 studs tall. But those extra studs mean a lot of difference, because Bumblebee comes up to Crosshair's elbow. His head touches the dude's elbow. But with Nemesis Prime's sword, he soars above in height. I know, terrible. Alright, go away, Bumblebee. Time to transform. Go over here. There you go. There you go. Oh, and one more size comparison so that you get into with Earthrise. If you manage to get yourself a Earthrise Ironhide mold, let's compare the two. I'm going to compare him to Shattered Glass Ratchet, the only Ratchet I could find for under $80. And they're basically the same height. I would say the Earthrise mold is one stud taller. Well, on the Ironhide Earthrise day, we'll go into that transformation. So, first off, to transform him, you want to remove all of his excess weapons, because they will just get in the way. Never forget that. You will have trouble down the road if you forget. So, As you can feel on this guy, his chest is kind of a window, and it can hinge. So hinge the window out and reveal a negative space below the window. Then tilt his head in to fill that negative space. Close the window. Well, don't close it all the way. You may need it later. Now, raise both of his arms all the way in the air while twisting. Actually, before raising the arms in the air, you want to twist them 180 degrees at the shoulder so that they're raised in the air that way. And then you want to kind of raise them in the air, because as you raise them up, that will give enough force to pop off the back bumper piece, so it will naturally just kind of come off when you raise these arms up. But there's a little hinge in the shoulder that will go up all the way. Then whenever it gets there, you'll feel that the arms don't feel weird. This is part of a transformation that's kind of intuitive, where you can kind of feel that both of these arms are supposed to line up, siege in make a flat plane where it goes siege port, connection to between arms, like line between arms, and then siege port. And then you want to drag your hands up the arms and twist them until at the very top of the arms, in the forearm section, you can feel that there's a negative space where, a lot of hollow there. But in that hollow, there is a female port and a male peg. So using your epic blind ability to feel something out without having to look at it, line up that male peg with that female port and plug it in. Some people have trouble with that because they got to have their eyes on it and findangle it and stuff and figure it out that way. But us blind people, we just do it because we don't need to see. We can just feel. We use that sixth sense. Now, after you've done that, we'll go over to the legs. Nope, I've done it backwards. We want to take the top half. Trust me, you want to do this because it just makes it a little more difficult to spin it later. But spin the top half, and you spin the top half by taking the transformer, Crosshairs here, in one hand, and making sure that you push down on both of his wheels to kind of give yourself a grip. With one of your fingers, ensure that the bumper that has the 4 siege ports on it is on a hinge. It is floppy, but you want to make sure that it stays away from the arms and the window. As you take the arms and the window assembly, and you can spin it 180 degrees. Now, once you spun it, it doesn't like to lock into place. It locks into place when you spin it for robot mode, but when you spin it 180 degrees into vehicle mode, which means that both fists are now pointing towards his feet, it doesn't lock into place. But luckily, they fixed that by giving us Mr. Bumper here. So this bumper that has 4 siege ports in it just kind of hinges upwards and snaps into place to immediately stabilize this front very well. Now, take the legs, fold them both downwards on the knee so that you can have room to work. Go ahead and make him do the little splits for a second. On each leg, you will feel that there is a wheel on each of his right above his feet. You want to take the wheel in your thumb or any finger and trace up, and you will feel right above the wheel there is kind of a hinge there. There's something weird about that. Well, go over that hinge to the top of the foot and then drag your finger to the inside of the foot, and you will find where there is a crease at the back of the leg and the inside of the leg, right above the foot. Now take 2 of your fingers and just pull it up. It's not really on a sturdy hinge. It's not on a strong peg, so you can easily, with a couple of fingers and a little bit of gravity, I guess, you can just move it up. You want to do the same with the other side. Find the wheel, drag your finger all the way around to the inside of the leg, and pull that entire assembly upwards, or that entire panel up. And then, on each of the legs, there's a flappy. There's a flap. Push the flap upwards, as it's a flappy flap, and it's easy. You can feel that it has it has half of a wheel well on each flap. Now this half of a wheel well, which is a quarter circle if you didn't know, because a wheel well is half a circle, you want to line that half of wheel well up with the front wheel. In doing so, on the inside of this, you will find a small rectangular peg. And right above the front wheel, in that little area, you will feel a little rectangular port. So when you line the panel up above the wheel, just move it in place a little until you can feel a nice, satisfying click. It's a soft click though, so be alert for that. Make sure that your back leg panels didn't accidentally fold into the arms and screw everything up, which just happened to me. Now's the time to lay it flat on the ground, because you want your back wheels and your front wheels to have a nice flat, sturdy surface, because everything's going to move for a second. Clip both of those side flappy bits into place above the front wheel. Make sure that the arm assembly that you created is laying flat inside the legs. Then fold up those two panels that you unfolded from the leg and clip them into place with their own male ports. Boom, just like that. It'll take a little doing, but once it's done, this guy is done. It is, I am very happy to say, a nice solid transformation where you end up with a sleek little Cybertronian van. Yeah. Now, let's go to his gun that he comes with. And this is a neat part that I don't know is included in the instructions or not. There is a... Remember earlier whenever I was discussing that top port, the top male 5mm peg there, that you can use in two-handed mode? Well, in missile pod mode, it kind of looks like or feels like an eyepiece, so you can do targeting measurements and stuff. Well, you want to face that downwards, and it's going to reveal the negative space of the interior of the rocket, but oh well. Now, on the back of him, there are 4 ports now in a perfect little, I guess, rectangle. They're not, it's not a perfect square, but in between, if you drag your finger diagonally between 2 of these ports, you could make little X's. So there is a hole there. And the hole feels like a unique shape. Almost as unique of a shape as this weird little handhold for the two-handed weapon / perception bit. Now, you want to slide it in. There. Face the missiles past the window, and that thing will just fall into place and actually stay there pretty well. So, there you have it. Hey, that back panel came open again. Did I screw something up? Oh, you know what I did, guys? This is important, and you should know. Make sure that both of the hands are tilted correctly. You want to make sure that the back of the hands are flush with the ports that now run along the top of the vehicle. Yeah, you want to make sure that you do that. I totally forgot, and that has been screwing up the transformation just a bit. There, all settled. The transformation's so much better now. Now, I have for him a crazy sniper rifle. You can plug it in, because he is a target man. He's not target master, but he's Crosshairs, and he's supposed to be a sniper, and they never gave him a sniper rifle. Just boom, sniper rifle. You didn't see that. All right. Before I bring this video to a close, let's talk about his measurements. Thing is, I just screwed everything up by trying to plug in a sniper rifle the wrong way. Oops. Vehicle mode measurement is as follows. First, let's make sure I'm measuring it right. Spin the panel, lay it down on the panel, and we have him actually ending at back flat 17, 18. He is 18 studs long. let's compare him with our good friend Cliff Jumper, who is, once again, Cliff Jumper is 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 and a half, 13 studs long. So this die is definitely longer than Cliff Jumper. Well, Cliff Jumper, you can rule over all the Micromasters because all the deluxes are bigger than you. Oh, guys. Oh, before I forget, for reference to Seige ports, because I enjoy doing that so much, this guy doesn't have mini. He's got the 4 on the front that are out-facing, so difficulty getting certain types of weapons in there because you gotta have special types. And then he's got 4 on the top with that weird rectangle bit in the middle where his weapon of choice can totally fit. But other than that, none. So I would give him 8 ports for kind of useless and 1 odd port. Now vehicle modes go, he's got more than most, but less than some. Alright guys, well, y'all have a great one. This is Blind Prime, signing off.